Welcome to Liv&Yoga. Today we'll explore a gentle yoga practice focused on building self-awareness through self-study, or svadhyaya. By tuning into the sensations in your body, you'll develop foundational skills for noticing subtle changes and responding more consciously to life's situations. Ready to deepen your self-awareness? Let's begin. So we're going to stay standing for this practice and just make your way to the top of your mat. From here, we'll start by gently grounding down through the feet. So perhaps bring the feet about hip width apart or a little bit wider, just so you feel nice and stable here. And we'll start by noticing what we can feel through the feet. Perhaps you can notice the texture or the temperature of the mat or the ground underneath you. Perhaps you can notice different amounts of pressure through different parts of your feet. And if you're struggling to feel anything here, that's totally fine. Through this practice, we're going to learn the skills to develop this self-awareness. Good, and then just checking in with the rest of the body. How are you feeling today? How is your body feeling? Good, and then from here, maybe closing your eyes or just softening the gaze down towards the ground. We're going to start to mindfully walk backwards along the mat. Good. Just taking a few steps, and then when you feel that you've come off the back, we'll start to walk forwards. Keeping this movement fairly slow and just heading forwards and back along your mat. And then while we do this, we're going to start to feel into the feet. Again, can you feel the texture or the temperature of the mat underneath you? Can you feel how the pressure changes through your feet as you walk? When you feel comfortable with this action of moving forwards and back, if you haven't already, maybe try closing the eyes. Often that can really help draw our focus to where we want it to go, instead of being focused on what we can see. Good. We'll take this a few more times, just moving at your own pace. And for this last couple, how are the ankles feeling? What kind of action do they go through to help move your feet while you walk? And don't worry too much if you can't find the words to describe these feelings. Just noticing them is enough. So sometimes we can get caught up with trying to find the right word, trying to find the right label for a sensation, but really that's not so important. It's just the feeling that we're looking for. Good. And then making your way roughly to the center of your mat. Take the feet a little bit wider than hip width apart, and we're going to start to circle the hips. Good. You can rest the hands on the hips or just leave them down by your sides. And we'll begin to notice what we can feel in the hips as we move. Does one side feel different to the other side? And if you're struggling to notice these internal sensations of stretching or tightness or whatever, see if you can focus on the external sensations. So if you have your hands on your hips, what can you feel through the hands as the hips move around? And can you feel your clothes moving against your skin? Good. If you haven't already, start to take the circle round the other way. And just noticing if this side feels any different. Again, maybe closing the eyes if you feel comfortable, just to help draw your attention inwards. And just letting the mind shift from one sensation to the next. So we don't need to get caught up in the story around why our right hip feels tight or why a certain part feels the way that it does. We're just trying to notice sensation. So trying to bring ourselves out of the mind, out of the brain, and into the body. So once you've noticed one sensation, see if you can be curious and look for another sensation that you can feel. Okay, and then we're going to keep moving the hips, but feel free to mix it up a little bit. Maybe finding a bit of a figure 8 move or taking the hips in bigger circles or smaller circles, up to you. But we're going to shift our awareness back down the body. So we'll start with the upper legs, so the thighs and backs of the thighs. What can you feel here as you move the hips around? And again, if you're struggling with the internal sensations, see if you can notice the external sensations. Can you feel your clothes moving against your skin? If you need to, you can bring your hands to the thighs. How do they change as you move? Good. And if you've got the hands on the legs, maybe finding a new position to put them. Good, but try and keep the movement focused at the hips still. Good, and then shifting down a little bit further, what's going on in the knees? What's happening in the shins, the front of the lower leg? What's happening in the calves, backs of the lower legs? And finally, what's happening through the ankles and the feet? Keeping the movement focused at the hips, but what is happening in the ankles and the feet? Good. And then finding stillness, bringing the movement to the shoulders. So we'll start with some shoulder rolls. They don't have to be huge. You can just keep them nice and gentle. And what can you feel through the shoulders? And as you move the shoulders, what other parts of the body are moving too? Good. If you haven't already, reverse the roll of your shoulders. What is happening when we move in this direction? Are any muscles starting to tire? Now we've been doing this action for a little while. And what other parts of the body are moving from us moving the shoulders. Good. And letting the shoulders rest down. Taking a moment to pause here, finding stillness. And let's ask ourselves those questions one more time. So, what can you feel in the body? You might be drawn to a specific sensation to start with. Perhaps it's in the feet, the pressure of the ground, and your feet meeting. Maybe it's through the shoulders if they're feeling a little bit tired. But then see if you can be curious to find another sensation. We're trying to train our brain to always be looking for what else is going on, because there is always more than one thing going on at one time. How do the arms feel? How does your left arm feel compared to your right arm? And remembering that we're not trying to get caught up in the story of whatever answer we come to. Just seeing if we can notice a sensation, accept it, and move on to the next one. That's the real skill here. Becoming unattached from the sensation, becoming unattached from the story of why our body feels the way that it does. And just accepting that we feel sensations through the body and that they're constantly changing. Good, and then if you haven't already, you can start to open the eyelids, open the eyes, maybe have a look around the room or the space that you're in. Maybe have a little bit of a stretch through the body. Good, and we'll finish up there, but you can ask yourself these questions during any yoga practice or any other physical practice you have, or even just as you're going through your day, when you're cooking, check in with the feet, how are they feeling? Check in with your back, how is that feeling? And ask yourselves these questions and see if you can learn to keep moving from sensation to sensation. So come back to this practice whenever you want to. It's an amazing way to kind of train our brain into noticing more, becoming more present, becoming more aware, and becoming more connected with ourselves too. So I hope you found this helpful, and check out some of my other videos. I've got loads of videos on my channel for yoga for anxiety, getting out of our head, out of that racing mind or rumination, back into the body and focused on actually what's happening right now. So thank you for choosing to practice with me today. I hope to see you again soon. Bye.